All right, it's been a hot minute. Let me double check to make sure that worked. And I'm gonna do that by using my laptop to check out my own channel. Let's see here. All right, I think we are live. Let me just confirm real quick. Yeah, I need to pull it up on the side so I can see the comments as well. I think that's what I was missing. Sorry guys, please bear with me. This is like the second or third stream I did while I'm doing. And I know I want to make sure I'm muted here. Here we go, I think so. Oh, there we go. All right, the goofy thing is now, if I want to see your comments, I need to like come over here. Uh-oh. And I guess I'm not signed in on YouTube on the laptop, so I need to respond to all of you guys with voice versus typing. What's going on, Nix? Here, let me move this over here. Maybe better. All right. Is the webcam moving? The webcam's not really moving. That's okay. We can deal with that. So, how's everybody doing? Let's see here. What's going on, guys? What's going on, Daniel, Sunny, Gregory? Sorry, I'm looking down because my laptop's down here. I should probably try to pull it up here, huh? But let's see. You guys are not signed in to see watch my mug. So I'm taking notes from my Reef Sensei Telegram. Part of what he does is actually pulling up his Instagram account as a kind of like a prompt, talking prompt, when there's nothing, I guess like no question coming in, you can just kind of go through the photos and talk about it, which I think is excellent. Okay. But before we do that, I do want to share some of my recent favorite YouTube channels out there. Hold on, let me see if this is still playing. Yep, I paused the video for some reason. All right, let's take a look first. What's going on, guys? What's going on, Cold Water Tank? How you doing? Washel, Matt, Peter, Nix, Bert's, always seeing you. Hello, hello. You got Hillbilly Reefer, Bronx Reefer. Hello. So while people are streaming in, one thing I do want to talk about, and actually this is a video that I want to at some point make, is to share some of the YouTube channel that I really enjoy. It's been a hot minute since I've shared. In the past, I remember I tried to make it a point, like every 3 or 4 months, I would do a video where I share fellow creators, right? Reef-related creators. I would do a feature video, maybe like featuring 3 or 4 different YouTube channels I've really enjoyed at the moment. I try to focus more on the smaller channels. Have not been doing that because it takes a little effort, a little coordination, because I like to reach out to these creators, ask them to make a short video, whether it's introducing their own channel or maybe share some tips so that there's some value for the audience as well. I have not been doing that because I've been pretty busy with life with kids. But what I want to do right now is to actually go in and share some of these channels with you guys live over here and talk about why I like them. All right. But it is really cool to see there are a lot of early risers or people from the other part of the world that's joining in right now. Right now it's about 8 a.m. I got this weird pocket of time because today it's Saturday here in the U.S. on the East Coast, and not working. Kids and wife is still in bed right now. Later on, we plan to visit a sunflower field near the house, but I got a pocket of about like half an hour to an hour to just kind of do my own thing. Making good progress in terms of video editing for tomorrow's videos, so figure I'll kind of work my lips a little bit because I feel like I haven't talked in so long in terms of kind of like live and well, this is not really in person, but interpersonal interaction. So I'm kind of rusty. All right, without further ado, let me go ahead and jump into these channels that I enjoy first, and then we can circle back and talk about some of these Instagram posts and anytime during this this stream, feel free to drop some comments. Let me know if you have any questions, any feedback, and whatnot, and I'll periodically glance down here to my laptop where I have where I can see your comments. Unfortunately, wait, can I reply? I have to sign into chat. Let me see if we can sign in real quick. Okay, I think I'm signed in. Let me see. Sorry guys, obviously I'm still super new to live streaming. These should all be taken care of prior to the stream. I'm not subscribed to myself. Here we go. All right, let me see if we can throw a comment in here, see if that works. What? Create a channel to join the chat? Oh, I see what I did. Pardon me, guys. Confirm whether it's you trying to sign in. Yes. All right, I'm coming. And I cannot believe I am at 62K subscriber. How did that even happen? This channel started out with me just random babbling thing. I still do. So I really appreciate you guys following me in this journey. This has been insane. Hello. Here we go. Finally in the chat. Okay, all right, without further ado, let me go ahead and show you guys, and just want to make sure, yep, you guys can see it. All right, so some of my favorite channel these days, and right there we see Alpha M's thumbnail of a big butt, is Fragbox corals. So Fragbox corals, let me go ahead and go to the video. I'm sure a lot of you guys are familiar with them. They're not a small channel at about like 9K subs. They are actually a LFS in Toronto. And the interesting thing is that I actually drove by them when I was in Toronto. I think it's like 2 years ago. 2.5 years ago. Emily came to visit. I picked her up from the Toronto airport. And while there, I figured I would try to check out some of the local fish stores as well. So while in Toronto, I checked out Big L's. Initially, I wanted to go to Fragbox TV. I actually did not know about them back then. I would just on Google be like, okay, Toronto LFS, what are some good ones? And Fragbox came up, and I hear frag in the name. I figure, okay, it must be focused on corals. So I want to check it out. But unfortunately, while we're there, they were closed. So instead, we went to Big L, which was fantastic as well. I was pretty impressed by Big L, but I really wish I could have like swung by and stuff like that. And it's not until earlier this year I started seeing videos popping up from Fragbox corals, and I really like them because they feel really grassroots, if that makes sense. It's not heavily edited. It's kind of edited, but it's really like straight shooting, kind of like Fish of Hex. Travis, I really enjoy his video as well. Travis is a little bit busier now because of his like 3D printing business, and coral selling business is doing fantastic. So I feel like there's like a missing gap, right? And there's Fragbox corals, and I think they try to make a video every day. At least it certainly feels that way. And a lot of them is really practical, which is what I really like. For example, they say, okay, how come your euphyllias may not be looking right? Could it be your magnesium level? Or like zoas? What are some tips that they have in terms of keeping zoas in their store? And that also brings me to the point that they get a different perspective because they run a fish store. They see all these corals coming in. They encounter all these different issues. They have to debug so many things that a lot of recommendation that they give is applicable to like intermediate or even beginner reefers, hobbyists like me. So I really enjoyed them. I'm not sure if they started doing more videos more recently, or they've always been doing this and I've happy 420, or I've just never came across the channel until more recently. But I've really enjoyed them. Just straight to the point tips. If you guys have not checked out Fragbox corals, please could do so. I think it's I would love to see channels like this get a little bit more eyeballs on. Let me grab some coffee real quick. In the meantime, let me check out some of the comments as well. I've moved the laptop to this side. That's why you see me kind of going over here. Paul D, what's up? Paul from House of Tropicals. What's going on, Paul? House of Tropical is another fantastic local reef store in the area as well. They're in Glen Burnie's, and they have a lot of Apple stuff, and I really like the selection there. Let's see. As the Third Eye says that he buys from them Fragbox TV or Fragbox Corals, and they're 2 hours away. I wish to visit them once again once the whole pandemic lockdown is over. Toronto's not super far. It's about 8 or 9 hours from where I am. So it's definitely no problem visiting Canada. A funny story. Let me do a little tangent that I often do. When Emily and I were still dating, that was crazy. Whenever I go date, I was like, I'm all in. She flew into Canada, Toronto to be exact, Toronto International Airport. So I picked her up from there, came back, and then we did like a week or two in the U.S., right? And then it came time for me to drop her back off at Toronto. And again, it's like 8 or 9 hours drive. And being the crazy me, figure, okay, I can just do this in one shot. Meaning that I think in the middle of the night, overnight, I drove from where I am to Toronto Airport, which is 8 hours. And then I dropped her off, spent maybe like half an hour in the airport. I turned around, drove right back. The round trip was like 17, 18 hours. It was rough, man. Like the last 3 or 4 hours, I was just out. I felt like I was watching somebody else drive. I tried to sleep, but I couldn't. Like my mind is so wired up. Because all the things that happened, and because like all the like coffee and energy drink that I drank, I was just so wired up. It was a weird feeling. I absolutely do not recommend it. I tried to pull over and sleep. I could not. I was just like, at the end, I'm just like, you know what? I mean, I can drive. Like my mobility is still fine. It's just like my mind is not there. It is weird feeling. I would probably not do like a single day, like immediate 2 there and back drive again. But Toronto, I would love to visit again really soon, actually. It can definitely be a weekend trip. So Fragbox TV, coming. All right, so Fragbox TV, yes, that's one channel I really like. The other one I really enjoy recently is Parker's Reef. And I am also surprised by the fact that he does not have more eyeballs on him at this moment. I know he's gaining momentum, and I would love to kind of push it along a little bit. Because like the content he has also feels really down to earth. Not so much as Fragbox TV, where just like pick up a phone and film and go. This is his obviously more produced, and thumbnails, there are just thought that went into thumbnail and stuff like that. But I think a lot of topics that he covers is interesting. Like it's not something that other channel has covered. Because for example, like the stuff I do, like unboxing of corals, or like maybe like I've run into this issue, this is how I addressed it. I feel like a lot of these subjects are already kind of like covered by a lot of other people as well. Parker's Reef goes out and talk about different topics. For example, like power out. What are some of the stuff that you can do? And it's just interesting, a different take on things. And his approach is really down to earth and really like it's just relatable. It's relatable. It's pretty obvious that it's not a sales pitch and stuff like that. So I really enjoyed it. So if you guys have not really checked out Parker's Reef, do so as well. I mean, I really enjoy his channel. In the meantime, let's go ahead. Take a look at the comment. Let me check the comment real quick as well. Okay, Peter T said that, yes, come back to Toronto, Moki, when the border opens. You need to also visit Candy Corals and Reef Raft. So I guess like these two stores are also in Toronto as well. I kind of wish I knew a little bit earlier, because I've been to Toronto, I think like 2 or 3 other times. I checked out, I think it's Markov's Aquarium. And also that district with like arowana and stuff like that, because I'm really into Asian arowana, but unfortunately we're not allowed to keep them in the US. So sometimes I live vicariously through like videos and also store visits. I would love to visit, man. Alpapudi, Hello from Singapore. How are you guys doing? Really want to visit Singapore as well. Also, the other Southeast Asian country like Malaysia. I've been to Thailand, been to Philippines. I really enjoyed it. I just really enjoyed the people, the culture, and of course like the nature there, like coral reefs and the stores I see there, and just in general. And food, man, love Southeast Asian food. So would love to visit Singapore really soon as well. But again, it's a little bit tougher now that we got a kid. Me and Emily have been planning to kind of like leave Leon behind. Let's make sure he doesn't hear. We plan to like leave Leon behind for a week and just hobby side. Steven, what are you doing? Get out of here. Fan from Texas. Hope you've been well, man. Hope you and your family been well. Oh, Malaysian, how you doing? So one of my hobby is lion dance, and if you're from Malaysia, you know lion dance. You guys are like number one in lion. At least back then, when I was into lion dancing, jinting and stuff happens in Malaysia, and Malaysia has always been a country. I always wish that I can go to Malaysia and just do a lion dance training camp for maybe a month or something like that, because I am a part of a troupe here in the US, and we did not have any like not professional but like legit instructor teaching us. We started out by kind of watching videos, talking to other members, other line dance practitioner in different parts of the world, different part of the US, and we learned that way. And some of them flew out and helped us out and train us a little bit, but these are all really short. I would love to establish some kind of relationship with like maybe like Malaysian or different countries troupe, and maybe figure something out. But time is more valuable these days, and this was like when I was in the 20s. Now I'm in, oh my goodness, I'm 42. But at some point I would still love to get involved, a little bit more involved in lion dance, because I feel like it's a really interesting and vibrant part of the Asian culture. It would be a shame to lose it. Wei Shen Lo, Wilson, yep, they are number one in lion dance. That's true. It used to be Guan Seng Gong, KSK. I'm not sure who's on top now. Oh yes. All right. Annie Jefferson mentioned Gallery Aquatics. Absolutely, that's definitely another one. Although I haven't checked out the video in not as much this year now. You can look at the view like back then. Oh, that's weird. I'm sure I saw a lot of these. But yeah, Gallery Aquatica. They came onto my. They came under my map back then when 2K Reefers sent me one of their mushroom box, and it's from Gallery Aquatica. So I was like, what's Gallery Aquatica? So I looked them up, and it turns out they have all these awesome videos, but for some reason they're showing not. Maybe I'm using my other account. Yeah, it's probably using my other account to watch their stuff. They are a local fish store. I think it's at Australia, if I remember correctly, and they have a lot of solid tip as well. And actually, the video looks kind of short these days. But back then, they have like longer form videos where they show the whole process of fragging stuff and a lot of just hands-on stuff. And a lot of these I even consider almost like trade secret if they're like a fish store, and they just share them, which is fantastic. Really appreciate it. They also come from a really grassroots kind of perspective. There's no highbrow stuff and just like really down to earth. And that's one reason I really enjoy watching them. But probably also because their videos were a little bit longer. I think like started last year, so I stopped watching as much of their video because like I have a little bit less time now. So I'm leaning a little bit more towards like short 10 to 15 minutes video that I can just like finish real quick in one sitting and just go on and feed the kid milk. So that's another great suggestion. Thank you. And if you guys have other favorite channel, please drop them here. All right, let's see here. Gabes, good morning. Iceman, how you doing? Queensland. Ah, they're in Queensland. Australia is also another country I really want to visit. And it's also another one that's a little far from me. I think the flight there is If I remember right, it was like 20 hours or something like that. A couple years back when I was just dating Emily, we tried to like travel a lot. She loves traveling, and the fact that she's in Asia and we're trying to meet once a month means that sometimes we try to pick a spot between us, or like maybe closer to one of us, which essentially opens up the whole world because she was in Asia, I'm in the US. Australia came to mind, but the problem for her it was okay. For me, I need to basically spend 2 days traveling, 1 day there and one day back, and with us already stretching the number of days off that we have, it was a little bit tough. Yeah. All right, so let me go on in terms of a YouTube channel that I really enjoyed recently in 2021. Oh my God, it's July already. All right, this one is slightly controversial. Although I don't think she's as controversial nowadays. Queen of Reef. So I mentioned her in the past. I really enjoy her editing style. I know there was this whole narrative that may not be like the best reefer, blah blah blah. But to be honest, like most of us are not the best reefer. I really enjoy the way she present her information. Her editing is really clever. Is really witty. Personally, I enjoyed it. I find it really entertaining to watch, and sometimes she does have some good knowledge that I can relate to as well. So I personally do enjoy it. Always been fantastic watch. Let's see here. All right, real quick, answering comments. Hobby Sai, friend Steven asks, I'm in the process of moving. Would you recommend selling everything and starting over after settling in, or try to actually move the tank and all the livestock? Personally, if I were to move, I think you have a pretty big tank as well. If I were to move to 135, I would just sell everything, except for the fish. Like coral, I would sell as well. I feel like they're so kind of like touch and go. Unless there's like a piece of coral that I really cannot bear to part with, I may try to like ask some of my reefing buddies to hold on to it. But fish I'll probably keep, especially clownfish. For whatever reason, clownfish to me are pets. Clownfish, I'll ask somebody to hold for me, or even like a fish store if I don't have any local reefers. But corals, tanks, equipment, unless it's certain things, equipment that's kind of hard to come by. For example, like Aquatronic, Mastertronic, etc. I will probably hold on to those. But the tank itself, I'll just go ahead and sell. And I would just set up a new system. If I could keep the old tank running, I'll keep the tank running, set up a new system first, transfer things. That's ideal, but I assume it's not. Then I'll just sell everything, man. Just too much of a pain on top of moving. Oh, yes. Somebody mentioned in terms of like great reefing channels, Coral Euphoria. Yeah, Abe. Fantastic. Yep. Totally one of them as well. Euphoria. Sorry. My pronunciation is terrible. Ape is another channel that I really want to push as well, because he has amazing information, and like it shows in this tank, and the way he approach reefing is kind of like no nonsense. He doesn't I don't think he does anything, to be honest. Actually, I think maybe he did. I don't remember. I watch his stuff. I cannot remember at the top of my head, but the way he approaches it, I just remember, is really simple, really straightforward. And he's one of those like old school reefers. Things just work for him. And I've really enjoyed it. Recently he did this Q&A, just answering questions. Emails and comments that came in, and it was long, but I actually sat through the whole thing because it's so informative. Abe is a great guy. Great guy. And obviously know what he's doing. So you're absolutely right, Coral Euphoria. Yeah, people in the comments seems to really like Abe as well. King of DIY. I got a little story to tell you about King of DIY. Alright, Joey, if you're watching this, tighten up your pants. I'm just kidding, guys. Alright, King of DIY. Oh, first of all, you guys obviously all know him, one of the biggest reef aquarium channel. Recently starting a aquarium gallery. By the way, don't mind the watch time and stuff like that. I have a separate account that I watch a lot of videos with, so this may not be accurate in terms of who I watch a lot of. So King of DIY, I've always been I've always been a fan of his video. I don't watch a lot of them because honestly, I'm not a DIY guy. I'm terrible at DIY. But certain topic that of interest, especially when it comes to certain species, I do watch. For example, like I mentioned, I really like Asian arowana and stingray. I kept them before, not Asian arowana. I kept silver arowana and Motorola, and also they used to call it like teacup stingray. So I used to keep them a little bit. So I watch his stuff. I donated to his gallery build as well initially. Like when he first started out, it was fantastic. I like the guy, and in fact, my old stand that I make that I turned into a table is based off of like his DIY build for aquarium. He did tremendous amount for the hobby. But one thing that really stood out for him for me was that I remember, I'm gonna lean back because I'm gonna think back like an old man. I remember, I think it was was it my first Reef Palooza? Was it my first Reef Palooza? I think it's Reef Palooza. It was 3 or 4 years ago. I started filming video, I think it's like maybe second or third year. Small channel. But anyways, that was when I was like always like starstruck when I see people that I usually watch video of, and especially I still do. Like it's a different vibe. So I was there. I made it a point that, oh man, I wish I could like meet Joey because I've watched his stuff for so many years. And this is when I remember like in the hallway, not the hallway, but like in the convention hall, I was walking along and right in front of me, we see Joey with a bunch of people trailing behind him, right? As always, dude is a star. He's just walking pretty fast and then like slightly flustered. Well, not flustered, but he seems to be in a rush. And I feel like it may not be the best time to talk to him, right? But I was like, okay, you know what? Like this is like second day of convention. If I miss this chance, I feel like he's gonna go in this talk or whatnot, and I'll never see him again. So really quickly, I politely turn and walk in the same direction as he does, and it's really quick. He's like, hey man, Joey, like I'm a big fan. Like I love what you do. I try to play it cool, but sometimes it's tough. Like when you meet somebody that you watch so long and you're just like a fan of, you're just like, yeah, just really love what you do. And I guess like he saw that I'm holding a little camera as well. I'm not filming this, by the way. That would just be cringe. I'm just holding camera. I'm just walking. It's like, oh yeah, you do YouTube channels. I was like, yeah, I do YouTube channels as well. And it's like, yeah, man, it's cool. Like we do the same thing. I was like, whoa, what do you mean? Dude, here's like a huge guy saying like, we do the same thing. It's like a whole different tier, but I really appreciate it. He was obviously walking pretty quickly, meaning that he was probably in a hurry, but still it took a time, shook my hand, and we chatted a little bit, just really, really quick. But just the whole interaction, just that little bit, it makes me feel good, man. I was like, oh, dude, this is nice. Like, he didn't blow me off and stuff like that. It was just not, it's not just kind of like, sometimes you can tell, like when people talking to you, just kind of like, okay, all right, just being polite. But it was like, okay, he was genuinely at least nice guy to me. So I went away. I was like, okay, all right, yeah, you know. This is half of it. The other half is that after I came back, maybe a month later, he released a video. It turned out that day he found out that his gallery was flooded and all kinds of things just happening and things did not go well. And it was that morning. So that's why he was like kind of rushing around doing his thing. And that blew my mind because the poise he had and like the ability for him to just kind of stay calm and still kind of interact with people, being polite when all these things happening in the background, I would have freaked out. So that kind of took him to a different level for me, like in terms of just like, okay, respect for somebody, because this guy respects like other people, other creator, or just regular people. But on top of that, he was in a crisis at the time and he was still able to do this. I have a newfound respect for him. I know it's been controversial, but this is my little story. All right, let's see. Okay, going back up in comments. Reef Bomb, yes. I heard that Reef Bomb was actually at Reef Palooza at New Jersey / New York this past month. I'm really sorry I missed him. I really want to meet him in person. I did a live stream. I hop on his show, and he has been great. Let me just go ahead and pull up his channel. Reef Bomb, great guy, great interviewer. He obviously has a lot of experience and know-hows in the hobby, but this guy is humble. Like when he talked to people, he let the guests shine. Sometimes he chimes in stuff like that, but I mean, like, toughest part for being an interviewer is to make sure you don't kind of like talk over the guests, or like you basically you invite somebody on, you let them talk, right? You try to like give prompts and stuff like that. I recently saw a saying that a good debater does not make a good interviewer or host. A good host may be a better word, because the point of a debater is to make himself stand out, right? But when a debater starts being the interviewer, sometimes the tendency is to kind of like talk over people and stuff like that. So it's kind of contradictory. So Reef Bomb is fantastic host, and again, I use a different account to like watch a lot of videos, so it may not represent what I actually watch, but I enjoy his podcast. I call them podcasts because a lot of them are conversational, kind of like Reef Dude, which is another fantastic channel. But I got nothing but good things to say about Reef Bomb. And I know like recently he got into GHL, kind of like my Reef Sensei, who loved GHL, loved the reliability and no nonsense. So I'm really interested to see where he takes it, and also really interested to see who else he brings on to his podcast. Since the man popped up, Mr. Jake Adams doing magical things in his studio. I think he maybe hired some helps recently, or maybe partnered up with some people. But I feel like in terms of content push and stuff like that, is up another notch. There was a little downtime maybe like 2 years ago or last year. It's kind of like, but then recently things started like pick up again. Things got interesting, and I started tuning in a lot more as well. I really enjoy his more scholarly, that's the only way I can say it, scholarly approach towards reefing. It's a little bit highbrow for me, right? Because I'm kind of like I'm just like, but I enjoy it. From somebody who cannot speak well and somebody who is not as analytics, I enjoyed that perspective in terms of the approach. Man, just look at the way he glued corals. I just slap things on. I remember saying that I'll just do a little bit, and you want to dab a little bit to create more like surface contact and stuff. Like, all right, I learned something new, so I tried doing it that way too. But I cannot do it as clean as him. That guy, scholarly. All right. Let's see here. Park Hoon, love the Arizona. Used to work at Uniqlo. Best thing I bought. Yeah, man, I have a lot of Uniqlo products. In fact, I got a box coming today from Uniqlo. Why did you quit? Okay, let's check the comment real quick. Tidal Garden, heck yeah. Tidal Garden, let's pull a thing. Gardens, sorry. Oh, almost 100K. Congrats, it's in order soon. Right off the bat, I have never really joined in on the live show. I'm not rolling in money, so I haven't really done any of these live sales yet, but one of these days I would love to. I think it's probably this year I really experienced the magic that is Tidal Gardens videos. And I say that because there are certain corals that I was struggling with initially. For example, Euphyllias, Goniporas. I was like, why are these guys not doing well in my tank? So I do some search online, Reef to Reef, Google, YouTube, and of course, I see Tidal Gardens videos. In the past, I never really watched a lot of Fang's video like through and through because they're long. It takes a little patience. It reminds me of like aqua Splendor, which I'll get to a little bit later, Nicholas. Because you have to be patient. Fang is well-spoken, also scholarly, kind of like Jake Adams. Their approach to me sometimes a little bit slower. I'm used to like Logan Paul, quick, fast, right? But once I actually start sitting through the whole video in terms of all these highlights of different coral species, I was like, dude, why did I not do this a little bit earlier? And that's when I started digging in and start like rewatching some of these older videos and just wealth of information. Fantastic channels, and obviously this guy know his stuff. And his is he calling it the greenhouse or the coral farm? Coral farm probably. It's taken years to build But this guy, you can tell, is a perfectionist. He is not super far. I really wish to visit him one of these days. And I think Rico's near him as well. So I'm not sure if they're starting the barbecue, the Reefer's barbecue again. I'm not sure if they're starting it up. Last time, I think it's due to the pandemic, they have to cancel or postpone it. So I couldn't make it. So one of these days, I would love to visit him, actually meet him in person. Believe it or not, I have not met him in person yet. I believe we have been at the same show, Aquatica in Chicago. Is it the first one? I think it's the first one. But somehow I missed him. It was just like a crazy weekend. I missed him. So that's one of the big regrets I have. Great guy. We interacted online a couple times. And I know that recently he brought on some help. I think it's her and another guy. So it's adding another dimension to his product. Product being like his videos and stuff like that, which is fantastic because I think like he has this meticulous, really kind of slow, comfortable approach, and I think this lady maybe bring a little bit more excitement. Not saying that he's not exciting, but his thanks excitement you have to kind of like grab a cup of coffee, maybe tea, or maybe even wine. I think wine is more appropriate, and you enjoy versus. With the new partner, a little bit quicker. All right. Hey, dang, you're here. How you doing? Oh man, I feel embarrassed now. How you doing? All right, let's see. Remy from Bahama. Heck yeah. Bahama Llama. Remy. Okay, Remy is interesting because like if I were to pick a channel, like for one day if I were to retire, which I don't think it'll be too long because it's getting tougher and tougher. One day if I were to quote unquote retire and disappear, I think like if people ask me if is there a channel that is closest to yours that you recommend people kind of go follow as kind of like a continuation, I would actually say Remy because like not so much how he reef or like his like presentation and stuff. Well, actually, hold on. Let me take that back a little bit. What he reef is already like levels above me. He's going to frag swap. He's successfully growing out coral, doing fragging and stuff like that. So that part he's already beyond me. But in terms of like the more kind of like point of view, the way information is presented, I feel like Remy is pretty close to how I do things, and I really appreciate it. I really like it, and it feel like okay, if I have a little bit more free time, if I'm a little bit more careful and a little bit more appropriate on my towards a hobby, right? This could be me. This is like a better version of me. So Remy, I really enjoy his content. And right now, I remember that he's trying to breed clownfish. I know that he got one survivor, Uno. I think it's a great name. I think Uno is still around. But it's just fantastic. And I see that he started giving talks, which is great too, because in real life, he's a radio host. So it's natural and it shows. So Remy, great guy. I do have a frag of his weeping willows. I know in the comment people are saying that, hey, there's no actual weeping willow except for Jake Adams. But I understand that I think he got the blessing of Jake to call his weeping willow as well. Like it's legit a weeping willow, same type of letter, I guess. So there's that. But I'm really proud to have a little frag of a weeping willow, which, by the way, was not doing super hot in the mangrove tank. It did not die, but it did not grow. It's just there. And polypus extended, but it's just there. Ever since I moved it to the 135-gallon tank, it just exploded in growth. It's doubled in size already. Tentacle is already a little bit longer. So can't wait to see how it grows out. And I know Telegram has one as well, my Reef Sensei. And his is doing fantastic. I think he's ready to frag his as well. So spreading the wealth. All right, check comment real quick. Rahim, how you doing, man? Gyro Naranjo, sorry I destroyed your name, my apology. He said that he never tried marine, have always kept freshwater. Is it hard to transition? Personally, it was not hard to transition, especially if you first go for like easier coral, like soft coral LPS, and you have a realistic expectation. fresh and salt, to be honest, it's not that different. You just add salt, use this like a refractometer or hydrometer. I know it's a bad word in the hobby. Make sure salt level is there, and that's it. You can already add fish. But when it comes to corals, there's of course other consideration. For example, light. I think that's a big one when you transition from freshwater to marine. But again, a lot of contents online to help with the transition, and to be honest, I don't think it's difficult at all. Sea-friendly reef, yes sir. Let's get there, and then also I gotta get to aqua splendor. And once again, I need to remind everybody that usually when I watch a video, I don't use this account. So that's why you see all the like video watch kind of jacked up. Sea-friendly reef is living my life, my dream life. He get to just visit different awesome aquariums, make quick video about it. You notice, one thing I noticed is that all his videos are really, really short, 5 minutes. It's kind of like pimp my ride kind of deal. Like you go in, you pimp that tank, and you're out and you're done. And I think this guy is a genius, because when you are making content on your own reef tank, basically you have 1 tank, 2 tanks, maybe 3 tanks, is limited to what you can show each week, versus like if you actually go out and visit other tanks, you have something fresh to bring to the audience each time. And that was actually one of my ingredients maybe 2 or 3 years ago when I was traveling so much. I have the opportunity to go to different fish store, maybe different reefers, and just like show off different setup, and that format worked out really well. But of course right now, due to like mainly having kid and then the pandemic, it's a little bit tougher to pull that off, especially with traveling. But later on, one thing I really want to do is to actually start hitting up local reefers who are way more experienced than me, have them show off their setups, drop some tips and stuff like that. I think it's fantastic. But Sea-friendly Reef, he is, in my opinion, one of the first guy to kind of like present this kind of content to, I really hate the words like reefing community, but yes, the reefing community, and he does a fantastic job. The way he present the tank is great, and it's interesting that he chose to do the narrative of the tank versus having the owner to do it, because the way he present the tank is consistent, and the voice is recognizable. Versus if you have different owners, they may have different pacing and a different way of presenting things. So that will kind of adjust the narrative a little bit. But the way he does it right now has one consistent voice. I think is genius. And the thumbnail is also amazing as well. Thumbnail, title, really on point. Presentation style, also on point. Sea-friendly Reef, fantastic channel. I'm a huge fan. Another channel, well, I actually don't think he has a channel, but he has an IG. Cuttlefish. This guy right here. Is it Tobys? Toby. Yes, Toby. So I'm in a macroalgae group on IG, and he's a part of it. That's how I first got to know him. But this guy, Toby, has amazing tanks. Actually, I probably should find the IG name since I'm talking about him. So I want to make sure I don't give the wrong name. Tobys_Reef. Here, I'm gonna do it really. This guy, he kept frogfish before. He kept macroalgae tank. He kept regular cuttlefish, and now he's actually keeping flamboyant cuttlefish successfully. So successful that they actually had eggs and they hatched, and he raised the babies. I think he's got 18 last I checked, and he was actually selling them in I think he's in Germany right now, but is selling them in Europe. And I think the going rate was I think it's like 250 or 350. Don't quote me on it. You may want to double check. And to be honest, like if this happened in the US, I would happily set up a new tank for these cuttlefish. These guys are fantastic. I think they're a little bit venomous, so do be careful, but I know they're super sought after, and I would love to keep them as well. But being cephalopods, they do not live long. I think they live maybe a year or 2 max. That's unfortunate, but it just it would be an honor to at some point like keep these kind of animals. But going back to Sea-friendly Reef, if I did not push my point across yet, fantastic channel, amazing quick bits on beautiful tanks around the world. Great recommendations. All right. I see a Wall Street bet. What are you guys gonna do with the Robinhood IPO? I think the move is to just ignore the IPO, right? Wall Street bets. Okay, BK Chem Corals on IG. Let me check it out too. Yeah, if you guys have like favorite channel and now even IG account, drop them. Let us see. Oh, I'm following them. BK Chem Boutique Coral, right? They in New York. I think did I meet them at? I may have met them at Reef Palooza. Maybe. Oh my gosh! Look at those torch. I think torch coral is one of those corals that I recently started getting a little bit more into, because I noticed that they actually like my tank. It's funny because like in terms of my hair is a huge mess. In terms of my coral addition in my tank, one thing which is probably not the best on how I determine which corals I add to my tank is just add some tester first and see which type of coral seems to do well in my tank and add more. For example, like zoas. Zoas seems to do really well in my tank. Euphyllias, they kind of go through things, but torch in general seems to do okay now. And Riccordia is one that does not do well in my tank for whatever reason. I've tried them twice. They all just kind of like shrink into nothing and just kind of wither away. So I don't think I'll try more Riccordias, but that's one of the corals I could not keep for some reason. Goniopora kind of like this. So unless it's something that I really, really want to try, I probably would just keep steady until they show sign that they could live well in my tank before I add more. But yeah, torch coral seems to be happy in my tank. So I'm actively looking at trying to add more. Joseph, how you doing, man? Thank you for supporting the channel, and no, you are the ultimate. Thank you, and good morning. All right, checking comments real quick. A lot of people thanking Tidal Gardens Thang for really good reason. That guy has been around for a long time, and he has helped a lot of people. Thank you, Thang. And again, I really want to meet you soon. Thanks said that if cephalopods live longer, they will have their own internet. Yeah, can you imagine? I bet, sometimes like I ask myself, with the way technology is advancing so fast, and if I could do anything I want, I still think that I could. Like if I put my hearts to it, what I want to do, would I want to go to space or would I go to the bottom of the ocean? I think I want to go to the bottom of the ocean, not the bottom, but just explore ocean more. Because I think with space, you need to spend so much time to get to certain destinations. Like you can only do maybe one or two things, right? And you need to rely on such a huge team. Versus going to the ocean, even though there's of course like technology barriers. Like not a lot of people can do. So you can't just say like I want to go and you just go. But the fact that you can reach there so much quicker than going to space, and there's so much more unknown. Not so much more, but there's still so much unknown in our ocean. I would love to like dedicate a couple of years just to do ocean explorations, and I honestly feel like there is something down there. Cephalopods, I know the ones that we encounter only live for a year or two. Maybe the giant octopus for like 5 years or more, a little bit more. But I feel like there is something else down there. Maybe they're smart. There's actually, oh man, this is another tangent. I'm not sure if I want to go there. Not long ago, I was watching this video and then did some reading. I talk about the advancement of, or possible advancement of human civilization. Right now, our biggest challenge is the amount of resource. I'll try to keep it really short, because some of you guys, I'm sure, have heard about this. And when you get older, you think about stuff like this. The limit to human civilization at some point is going to be resources on Earth. So that's when the author said that that's where ants and these kind of animals are smart and maybe more advanced than human, because they shrunk the civilization into something that's manageable based on the what the natural resources can supply. Meaning that they have a civilization, but they don't take up the entire planet to the point where they have to leave the planet yet, but they use what they have and kind of maintain their civilization, keep them going. And the argument is that the more advanced form of civilization may even be shrinking the culture and civilization even further, meaning that we're looking at bacterial level. Like, who says a bacteria does not have the same thoughts, same culture that we do, or maybe even more advanced? Maybe they're more advanced form of life where they realize that they cannot keep, there's limited resources. So by kind of like shrinking the whole thing, they can continue living, but they don't have to spend the energy and time to go explore other planets where it will take years and millions of years. They can just like keep using what they have on the planet and keep evolving by shrinking themselves. There's a movie made. There was a movie made a couple years back about people shrinking themselves in order to kind of adjust to what nature provides. I have not watched it yet. I would love to, especially after reading this little article. Anyways, tangent, as I always jump into. Lynn, how you doing? The local reef mogul. Am I saying it right, mogul? It's funny because like the first time I used it, I remember Lynn saying that. It's like, Mongo? Why are you calling me a Mongo? Mogo. There's Aqua Splendor. I was going to talk about your channel, dude. Alright. It's kind of embarrassing talking about your channel now that you're here. Alright, let's see here. Alright, Nicholas. Let's talk about Nicholas, I gotta preface this by... Oh, actually, it's not bad. I gotta preface this by saying I use a different account to watch a lot of reef-related videos. So the watch time, I watch video, what video I watch, it's not representative of what I actually watch. But yes, I actually watched pretty much all your stuff. So among the great channels that I enjoy, Aqua Splendor is definitely one of them, and it's definitely one of those. It's not acquired taste, but it speaks to certain people, kind of like, I think, like Fang's channel. In the beginning, like I mentioned previously, I did not used to really sit through Fang's videos because of how long. Like a lot of them, like 20 minutes, 30 minutes, masterpiece, beautiful visuals. But sometimes for, I don't want to call myself the Logan Paul generation, but for the quick cuts generation, it takes a little bit to kind of settle in and watch. But I'm kind of like tuning in because like, in terms of Tidal Garden, I was looking for issues with my corals, and I sat through a couple of those videos, and I was hooked. I was like, okay, there are a lot of gems in here, a lot of nuggets of wisdom. I should sit through it. For Nicholas, same deal. Lots of nice nuggets of wisdom in there. But what more is that he actually have a lot of witty jokes, and also, of course, beautiful visuals in here. The pacing, the music, sound effect is one thing that I've really started noticing, especially with well-produced video. Because myself, there's a point where I understand that sound, music, is actually extremely important to videos. But just one area I just do not have time to address. A couple years back, I tried to do more produced video, but I realized that if I do this, that would mean instead of one video or 2 videos a week back then, it would be like one video every 2 weeks or 3 weeks. And I was like, I would rather just push out more content, because I've found that the things that I have, the contents being produced by the fish tanks, right? Like the stuff that's happening far outpaced the way I can push out a video, meaning that I could not keep up. I would be lagging further and further behind. So I was like, all right, you know what? For my video, forget it. Just quick cuts, right? Vlog style. I just throw in like music track. I'll try my best to match the mood of the music to the mood of the video, and that's it. But when I look at Nicholas' video, oh my goodness, the amount of work that goes into it is insane. I talked to him before. I kind of compared the channel Ants Canada to him because of the sound use, the texture of the video, the whole film. Let's call them film. Let's be real. These are film. The texture of the film and the really intricate way the storyline or the story arc are weaved. It's really intentional. It's really well put together, and the production value just through the roof is insane. I don't know how he put out a video once a week. It's insane. So if you guys have not followed Aqua Splendor, give him a try. Check out some of his video. Sometimes you do need to bring a cup of like fine wine. This is another channel that needs fine wine, kind of like Fang's Tidal Gardens. Definitely give him a try, and follow along. Fantastic. One thing I'm surprised about is that beside this one tank right here, he has other tanks as well. But he's not talking about those other tanks. I feel like it may be interesting to like bring another story in, like talk about different tanks versus just keep following this one. but he has his purpose. I know he's a mastermind. He's pulling some strings in the background, so he has his purpose, I'm sure. All right, let me check comments real quick. I kind of out of the corner of my eye, I see like DC Reefer in here. So, Warren, how are you doing? So DC Reefer, IG account, do check him out. It sounds like his back with his new build. He just water tested it. Looks like no leaks, so I think we're good. He's gonna bring some fire. Okay, let's see. All right, give me a second. DC Reefer said that he's living the married family life. I feel like we all kind of leveled up. I'm living the family life too, good lord. And Ben, Mighty Nano Tank, and Daniel. Daniel has been living the family life, but Ben just got number 2. Daniel got number 2, I think, last year, and oh my goodness, is it? I hope it's not our turn. If one day we disappear, number 2 came. Oh my god, DC Reaper dropping the hammer already. Agent Beans in the deleted comments said that my nipples are so hard to get glass next time. Oh boy. Wall Street Bats, crabs eat Ricolia. Is that true? I do have some ammo crab in my tank. Okay. Oh man, I guess people are slowly waking up, right? We actually got like about 90 some people watching this rambling. What time is it now? 9 o'clock. I think maybe give it another 15-20 minutes and I'll go wake up the kid and the fam. We're gonna go check out the sunflower field. Oh, Warren, I'm not sure if you know. You probably know already. But in Poolsville, there's a sunflower field that is in full bloom right now. We go every year. We take some pictures every year. This year, one of the field is not planted, but another field, I think field number 2 is planted. So if you guys are interested, that may be an interesting place to take some photos. And try to go in the morning. I make the mistake of going in the middle of the day or afternoon, and that's when the sun is behind the flower, and that's when the flower get a little bit droopy. So try to go in the morning if possible. Jake Dominiques said, I've been watching you for years and I don't know your Nigo name. Can someone tell me an appropriate name, please? Moki. Name's Moki. Moki Chow. Nice to meet you, for reals. Oh man, learning too much. Let's see. Joseph Posada. I'm a fan of Mikey Mike. I have a canister filter running on my quarantine tank. Mikey Mike? Is it Massachusetts Mike? Or is it somebody else? Here, let me... Alright. Let's take a look what's going on. Mikey Mike? He looks like a singer. What is going on? Or is there a different... I don't know. Singer? Okay, let's see. I'm trying to break down my other tank, so that's why I don't talk about it. Coming from Nicholas. My goal is to shut down 3 of them, maybe start a new one eventually. Bug Dream channel? Let's take a look. Alright, now we're getting to the risky part of the live stream where I'm just typing in channels you guys are telling me. This is maybe a bad idea. Oh, Mikey Mike Mike. Hold on a second. Oh, there we go. I'm subscribed. Oh, him. Okay. I watched his stuff this morning. I was like washing dishes. And I just, it popped up. It clicked. I think I found this channel very, very recently. In fact, maybe like 2 weeks ago. Somebody was talking about, I think it was it Richard? Reefs.com. That's another great channel. He was talking about aquascaping in a reef tank from a competitive planted tank, aqua. Is that the right word? Aquascaper. That's it. Can I click on this? Let me see.
4 days.
Here, let me. So beautiful, beautiful tank. A little bit too escape for me in my case. Here, is there? I guess in the thumbnail I can see the whole thing. I guess like to me, like my quote unquote style is kind of like throw everything and see what grows big, and then I remove the smaller stuff because I like that grown in look, the wild look. I feel like corals, regardless of what not regardless of what type, for most type of corals, as long as you give them a chance to really populate and grow in, they look good. So it's, to me, for my taste, I feel like it's a little bit too manufactured, but it looks good. I cannot deny it. It looked fantastic, and I want to learn more, because one thing I noticed is that he used glass lily pipes from the planted tanks. So I thought it's genius. I thought about it too. When I was doing the small tank or the vase tank, I thought about using glass lily pipe, but then I figured, okay, it may be too much work to clean a glass lily pipe, especially of how easy they break. I don't want to deal with it. But I saw that he used this with success. So love this tank. The, again, scape, I prefer the more natural, quote unquote natural looking one, but still love this tank. I like the backlights. Backlight is something that Planted Tank do a lot. At least maybe a year back, the blue backlit is really popular. I tried to bring that to the old Reef tank as well and worked really well. So I'm kind of sad that my 135-gallon tank has a black panel that cannot do a backlit. But I think Eat Sleep Reef also did backlit as well. I thought it worked out beautifully. But great channel. Recently he talked about nutrient dosing, if I remember right. I think did he dose or did he take away? I just remember he did something a little bit different. I think he dosed. I think his nutrients, his nutrients really low and dose it versus like people normally take. I don't remember, man. But anyways, good channel. I was watching that for information while I was doing dishes as well. Fantastic recommendation. Daidodoro, good morning from Japan. How are you guys doing? I've been watching the Olympic. I'm kind of surprised Olympic went on, but I'm also at the same time really glad that it went on as well. It's a shame that there's not a lot of people in audience, but for safety reason, of course, understandable. But I feel like there's just something about Olympic that bring all the countries, all the people together, and just something to look forward to, which is fantastic. It must be a really exciting time in Japan. Besides the pandemic, of course. Okay. Nicholas is suggesting type big Bug Dreamer channel. New channel. What? Whoa. These all look like big production. At least thumbnail is saying big production. Look at these guys. This looks more natural, right? It's more like a diver sharing his adventure versus a reef keeper. We'll have to come back and take a look. 1 hour deeper. Let's say I need this. Sometimes when I'm working, just put something on. Thank you for the recommendations. Thanks, Ed. Did we already talk about Danny's aquariums? Let's see. We did not talk about Danny's aquarium. And I am subscribed to Danny's aquarium. This rings a bell, but I have not seen him in a long time for whatever reason. I look at this, I laugh. GMK, right? 2 days ago, I just received a GMK from Lynn. It was actually her. She wanted in waffle. Can't say raffle, so it was a waffle. And it's actually in my tank right now, and I was going to put a video from there on Tidal. Something like this. The most expensive Zoa was in my... So this is awesome. You obviously know what Tidal catches people's eyes. Oh man, this is great. Alright, I'm going to come back and catch up on Danny's aquariums. I do remember him at one point. Hey, I know this tank. Is he in the macro group? I see MPS. Maybe that's how I came across this channel. But okay, I gotta come back and catch up. Can't really talk too much about it because I don't remember the content of my apologies. But if Fang said that he's good, 100%. Swaff, you heard of that Inappropriate Reefer guy? Seen him around a bit. And once in a while he pops up, kind of like herpes. Won't go away. Philly Reefer, first time in forever that the US team didn't get any medals in the first day. Hey, you know, it's cool. Win some, lose some, can't always be winning. But as long as everybody have fun and do their best. 20G Reefer, first time watching from Amsterdam. Hello and subscribe now. Thank you for subscribing and glad to have you with us. Today we're just kind of doing whatever because I got a little pocket of time. Ross Kretlin Balatin. Sorry I butchered your name. I tend to do that. What have you learned so far about your dabbling with Aquapora? Knowing what I know now, I probably would not have attempted Aquapora before the tank hit like one year mark, because I feel like my tank is a lot more stable now. Before 1 year mark, I was still going through some swings. I was optimistic because I saw that Montipora is doing well in my tank. I thought, okay, Aquapora, how much more difficult would it be? Oh boy. Dino happened, nutrient swing, and just wipe out a lot of acros. It was not a good times, and I feel terrible because they're living animals. So knowing what I know now, and knowing the skill level and the I guess like how careful or not careful I am in terms of keeping parameters, I probably would not have attempt Aquapora until the 1 year mark, when I feel like the tank is a lot more stable, where there's more bacteria colonizing the rock, where it gives me a little bit more buffer room. Because I know a lot of people who are more experienced, like Fish of Hex, I think he did that as well. It's like you set up a tank, coral went straight in, right? Because from what I understand, don't quote me on it, is that it's mainly the fish that needs the tank to be completely cycled, right, to take care of the nitrites, ammonia nitrites. The coral, it doesn't seem to be bothered as much, so that's why a lot of more experienced people, they can just drop corals into a stable new tank, and have success. Not me. I suck at it. So for me to play safe in terms of Aquapora, I probably would not have started until maybe a year in, where I'm sure the parameters are stable. More so maybe in terms of my reef keeping, it's a lot more, my routine is a little bit more stable. There's no more stupid mistake with that particular system. I feel like every system I make some stupid mistake. I'll correct it, and then I sometimes overcorrect it, and then it'll stabilize. Once I hit that, I'm good. So I think with the big tank, we're good for now. I know not to kind of overreact, and yeah, it took years, but we're good. It took years for me to learn that, but we're good. So that's one thing I learned. Prayaka Chakraborty. Sorry, I'm killing names left and right. I apologize. Hello from India. Too bad in here we can't keep corals. Love your videos. Welcome. Welcome to the channel, and thank you for following along. I understand India cannot keep corals, but fish, that's one thing that I would love to keep at some point as well. Just like a fish only with live rock tanks. And I think anemone is okay as well because it inverts. But hope that you can still find some passion in the marine hobby, even though coral is kind of out of reach at the moment. I know in Philippines also coral's not allowed, so I know a lot of people also do fish and inverts. I know there's still people keeping corals there, but down. All right, let's see. Reefs.com. Let's talk about one more channel. And if you guys have any other channel you want to talk about it before I jump over to Instagram. Richard, my man. Funny story, I'm sure a lot of you have heard before. It's a lot of people kind of like confuse us because we're all Asian. All Asian looks alike. You think I'm Moki, but I'm actually David. But there are a lot of like funny stories. But Richard is a great guy, and he wanted to do so much for the hobby, for Florida. He's actually doing a canal cleanup right now using some of these tech from the aquarium hobby. For example, he's using like huge skimmer to try to like pull out gunk. He's using huge power head to try to like stir up the waste. There are a lot of like weird stuff at the bottom of the canal that's like limiting the ability for things to break down, and they're just pushing it out and cleaning it up. He's doing fantastic things. This guy. Okay, people may be able to fool me for a couple months, right? Be like, act a certain way, but this guy, years on, consistent, great guy, and never heard one bad thing about this man. This guy's a great guy, great intention, and treat people with respect. He's a fantastic person. And what more, he does a lot of video filming work for different shows. Different companies, etc., and seems to know everybody, and he seems to be the bridge between like hobbyists as well as scientists, and I think that's really important. I feel like there's kind of like a disconnect between the two, and it'd be great if there's more people like Richard here in the hobby that can bridge that gap, and I think it's just going to benefit everybody, not just people in the hobby, but also the science community as well as just general population. Okay. Somebody mentioned that Waterlog 1313 is another excellent educator. She's a marine biologist. She has a pet named Frank. That's a longhorn cowfish. Met her at the Reef in New Jersey, New York, really briefly. Really nice person. One interesting fact that she was wearing a earring with a little fish inside, and Emily actually bought a necklace with a little fish inside, the same fish. So I guess great minds think alike. She's just a great person as well. I don't know her too well because it's just a really, really short conversation, and everything else I learned kind of like through her video and stuff like that. So seems like a great person as well. And I think we do need more educator, especially on the fish end, because I feel like a lot of people talk about corals, but I wish there's more about the fish. Lynn is asking, how is the 3D printing going? Stopped. I printed all the stuff that I want to print, and that was it. I thought I'd print a lot of Reef Aquarium stuff. I did print some of those Ecotech controller holder, and that's pretty much it. I thought about maybe printing like sock holder and frac rack and stuff like that, and I realized that it's so much easier just go on Amazon and just buy one that looks super nice. And that was it. So I think I may give the 3D printer to my aunt, or maybe Lance, because she expressed interest. It was like, oh, yo, 3D printer, can I try sometimes? I'm like, yeah. And so I may give it to her for a couple months or maybe a year for her to like try it out, learn 3D printing, and we'll see how it goes. But right now, I'm just kind of sitting in the corner. Thing Tidal Gardens said, one time I got mistaken for you, Inappropriate Reefer. It happens, man. But that's good, right? That means Fang is a beautiful man. I mean, beautiful. DC Reefer. People mistaken me and Moki all the time. That is true. One time I was at a fish store. Dude walk up to me, he's like, DC Reefer? Okay. Alright, checking comments. Let's see. I think I'm caught up in comments. Dude, Melly's Reef. Heck yeah, I have to talk about him real quick before we move on to Instagram. Mark. This guy is a beautiful man inside and out. He's another person that has been really consistent in terms of how he deals with people. Well, I shouldn't say deal with people, in terms of how he enjoys the company of other people. And I'll go back to my earlier comments about Mr. King of DIY, Joey, as well. Just like how he interacts with people, everyday people, it's fantastic. Mark has been kind, really kind to me and Emily whenever we meet up. I think there's a Magna that we really started interacting a little bit more. Before, I just know him as this like huge YouTuber with a huge following who is excited about Neptune stuff maybe, but that's it. But then at these events, we started talking a little bit. Granted, it was not long, right? He is busy. He's always surrounded by people, as well he should be. Really nice guy. Sometimes I tune in on his live stream. They're usually really long because I just enjoy people's company so much. Like he would go on for like 3-4 hours. I'm like, so chime in here and there. Great guy. And recently, I know like he's going through some stuff. Just wishing him the best, man. It's heartbreaking to see things happening to good people, especially somebody like Mark. That's all I got to say about that. But he's another great guy. I wish he's around for a long, long time in this hobby, because we need more people like him in the world. Period. All right. With that said, let's hop over to Instagram. I'm gonna cap off this live stream with some like quick rapid fire feedback, I guess like commentary on what have been happening this week. And this is a note I take out of my Reef Sensei, Mr. Telegram, who's doing fantastic things as well. He's doing amazing things with his buddies. He's testing out like Kirk slurry. That's one thing I really want to look into, because number one, I want to raise my pH, and number two, I don't want to keep mixing calc. I have a general question that I plan to ask him a little bit later. Right now, I'm dosing saturated calc busters, mainly as an effort to raise pH. And I'm at a point where if I dose any more, my alga is going to start jumping up. I want to keep it alga consistent. It has been super consistent, my alkalinity, which is fantastic. My question is, if I actually dose calc slurry to the point of saturation where the alg maintain, right, would I have more benefit in terms of pH, or is it just going to be the same? So essentially, another way to phrase the question is, the amount of slurry, if I dose the equal amount that would impact the alkalinity to the same amounts, would the pH benefit be the same? If I get more pH boost benefits by dosing the slurry, I would look into it. But if it's the same, I'll stick to just regular Kalkwasser, because I feel like ODing Kalkwasser may not be as bad as ODing slurry. Anyways, I'll hit him up sometime this week, I think. He was talking about doing some kind of like driveway bad advice / coral giveaway, but I'm not sure if that's actually happening or if he's joking. Because I was like, is this happening? He's like, oh, are you coming? I'll set up a booth for you. It's like, is this happening? Okay. Hold on. Okay. Luca said, check out It's All About Corals on Instagram. We will do that. All right, real quick. Talking prompt first. As I mentioned, torch is one of the coral. Hey, you know what? Let's try this. I know this big time streamer do this. Bring the microphone a little bit closer. Do I sound a little better? Testing 1 2 3. All right, I'm gonna whisper to you guys now, ASMR. So I noticed that Euphyllias and especially torch coral seems to do well in my tank. And that's why I started looking into torch coral a little bit more. In fact, recently, locally, man, it's blocking my face, it's not working out. All right, so locally, there was actually someone selling different types of gold torch, right? For what I thought is a fair price. There was one in particular that I almost bought. It was a Hellfire gold torch. And it's legit, nice, bright gold torch with like a gradient running down. I know the big thing is the Holy Grail, but those go for like $1,500, $2,000, and I need to save money for Leon's college, so I'm not dropping that kind of money. The Hellfire torch he was selling for, I think it's like $200 for a decent sized head. It's not a big fat head per se, but seeing how well the torch do, I'm confident. Knock on wood. I'm confident. I was like, okay, maybe I should invest in it. But then later on, I got shut down hard for good reason. But at some point, I think I may still do it. I may do wait a month, because this month I made some purchases already, which I'll go into a little bit. So I thought about it. So torch coral is definitely one of my my thing at the moment. Enter this guy right here. Look at this guy. So I think I bought into the hype of like gold torch. They're great. I mean, they are great, but are they like $200-$300 great? I'm not sure yet. At the moment, I'm like, oh yeah, I'll still pull that amount of money out. But like, if I take a step back and just look, I was like, oh man, this one looks fantastic as well. This is a pink tip green from Top Shelf Aquatics. Maybe I should start looking into things other than gold. I don't know. But speaking of Top Shelf Aquatic, unintentionally, well, not unintentionally. First one's intentional. I went live with them twice this week. So we actually talk about this. I'll skip forward a little bit. We actually planned this months ahead. I went live with them, was it last year? Once. And then we talked about going live again at some point, I think a month and a half ago. But then people just got busy. I got busy, they got busy, and then Reef Palooza happened, and then I guess like they're in a little lull. So Ernesto from Top Shelf Aquatic reached out to me again. It's like, hey, yo, man, we talk about going live. Still want to do it? So I was like, yeah, of course, man. Because like they always like give fantastic coral tips, right? Advice. And they have been kind. This is another thing that I didn't talk about. They have been kind to me in the past. When I was still a wee little YouTuber, I think what was my subscriber count? Just to illustrate how long ago this was. I was about, I think it's like 5,000 subscribers. I visited Orlando, right? And of course, like in the past, wherever I go to a place, I like to visit the fish store there as well. So I swung by Top Shelf Aquatic, And this was, I didn't announce because like, dude, I wasn't anybody, right? I just kind of like, I don't know what I was doing. So I just walked in. I was like, hey, is it cool if I like film a little bit here? And back then it was Austin and Remy, like two younger guys. Remy is a guy with the long hair, like pretty hair, right? And they just jumped up like, yeah, man, come on in. We'll show you everything. We'll show you the farm and like drop it. And dude, I spent 2.5 or 3 hours there just kind of filming. I mean, to them I'm sure it's fun because they're working, they're getting paid, right? It's their work day is something different from like bagging coral and stuff. But on top of them too, the other guys there's like also super nice, and I think it was the owner, maybe the owner Kevin was there too. It's like yeah, dude, whatever you need, right? They've just been really kind. They're just really kind people. And since then, it kind of like loosely keep in touch on social media and stuff like that. And now I start live streaming a little bit on IG. Like we make plan to go on streams together and stuff. So this kind of stemmed from one of those interaction from years ago, and I feel like this also drive home to the point that like always be kind to people. I think this is one thing that Mr. Telegram Jim Graham always say: be kind, right? Not in this particular case, like you never know what somebody else could do for you. I mean, it's a terrible way of saying it because it put value on people, but you just never know, like when you may interact with somebody else again. And sometimes it just I don't want to say, but it pays to be kind to people. Like if not, you want to be kind, but just that's also another thing to keep in mind. Just be kind to people. You just don't know. You just don't know down the road. And of them being nice to me and I being nice back, be like, they just have respect for each other. I feel like we create this synergy that now we can, let's go on live stream together, and we're both cool with it. And what this leads to was this awesome stream here. This is completely unplanned. Well, it's after that live stream. Ernesto was like, hey man, we're actually going to visit this amazing 20-foot reef tank. A little later this week. Do you want to just hop on real quick? And I was like, okay, depending what time. Because I am working, so I can probably just sneak on during lunchtime for maybe like 15 minutes or so. But if you guys do it at night, then we can hop on a little bit longer. So I guess they have a little break during the day, and we just hop on during the day to check out this insane 20-foot reef tank. And to think back, like if I did not kind of keep in touch with them and did not hop on stream with them all this time, I may not have a chance to really see this tank in this way, even though it's not in person. But I still very much feel like a personal tool. It's just fantastic. I learned that BLS made a longer video of this tank, which I completely missed, and I need to go back and catch up. And once again, I really hope that at some point I can kind of learn a little bit more about this system, because some of the stuff that he says, the owner says about this tank surprised me. He said that this big tank is difficult because any changes he takes a bit to show up. He described it as a logging truck, which makes sense, right? Jim also mentioned about making changes is kind of like turning a big ship. It happens slowly, especially with this insane water volume. But just look at this. I feel like this stream did not really do the tank justice, if I may be honest. Like the scale, you can tell. All these corals are probably huge, but the fact that you don't have a person standing next to it, you cannot tell how large it is. Oh, okay. Lynn said that this guy needs to do how much of this system cost me. I couldn't imagine. I kind of want to... I mean, I asked Nessa, so what does this guy do? But I guess I asked it during the stream, and he mentioned that he had a software company, and he sold early on, so he always wanted a big reef tank. This was his dream tank. So that happened. I made a joke that, so instead of going to space, you invested in reef tank instead. Tidal Coral said that gold torch in Japan is expensive. Gold torch in the US is really expensive as well. But the fact that people are paying it means that the value is there, or at least people see the perceived value there. So we can't argue with the market. Ross Kretlin said that the rarer coral strands are not always the best looking. You cannot beat the classic. I agree with you. The classics are classics for a reason. For example, I have been trying to find purple people eaters. I think it's pallies. I'm not sure if they're zoas. Are they zoas? But they used to be the premium. I just call it zoas. Back in the days when the first time I do reefing like years ago, that's when zoas first started getting names. I think eagle eyes, radioactive dragon eyes, and purple people eaters, and also the bam bam and safe crackers. I think these are the high end ones. And I remember the purple people eater were being sold for $5 per polyp, and I thought that was preposterous. No way. And I think at some point I did get a small colony of them at one point. But those were the classics to me, at least. And purple people readers, one of the ones I really want to get. Tobys Blue is another one I really want to get for the mangrove tank. Unfortunately, the Tobys Blue, it is a blue polyp zoas. It doesn't really look that good under blue lights. That's popular now, and my 135 gallon tank has that. But the mangrove tank under white light, those blue polyps pops. Beautiful. Purple people eater, I'm curious how it'll look under blue lights. And I'm also curious why it's not as popular now compared to in the past. First time Reefer TV, Holy Grail torch now go for 1,500 Australian per head. Yeah, I think US is about that as well. Thanks at that, there is always a very hot coral that sells for a lot, and that trend rotates over time. In years past, you could never find a mushroom coral morph that was expensive. Now they all are. In fact, one video you made in the past kind of stood out to me. I remember you mentioning in that video like it was something like, I want to make sure I quote you right. It was something to the effect that you guys all say great things about this coral, but I, like behind the scene, I know what corals you guys are all buying. Meaning that a lot of people are buying the more affordable or the quote-unquote beginner of coral, like leathers, zinnias, and stuff like that. So I was like, oh, this guy probably got some really interesting data. It's really interesting because back in my heydays when I was still dating, I was using OkCupid. Fantastic sites or app back in the days. I'm not sure how it is now. But they used to share all these data that they get from users, and they were eye openings. Kind of like, it's like, okay, what kind? For example, this ethnicity people, men. What ethnicity women that they prefer, and these are all facts. You cannot argue against it. And all these things are just so interesting, and I cannot even begin to imagine what kind of data popular stores like Tidal Gardens and other places have in terms of what people actually purchase, and like, you know, all these data points. I feel like I have not seen a lot of data release or a lot of infographic release on these kind of information. I found it maybe kind of interesting, like the most popular corals of 2021. Or like, you know, how long do people stay in the hobby, and if so, like what kind of tank, etc. These kind of information that stores may have. Tidal Gardens, statistically men lied about their height by 2 inches. Oh man, I guess I'll be honest, I lie about my height by 1 inch. Let's see here, checking comments. Men are bad about length estimation. Sure, a 6 inch. I don't know what you're talking about. That letter is 6 inch. Oh boy. Okay. Oh, here's an interesting one. This is the Ali E bar. So right now, my 145 gallon tank, we got 3 Radion XR15 overhead. I cannot pause Instagram video, right? It kind of sit right in the middle of the tank, and initially I was thinking, okay, maybe this tank would do better with XL30, but I was talking to Ecotech because, as you know, they supply the equipments, at least lighting equipments and pumps for this tank. By the way, they did not like twist my elbow or anything. They just be like, okay, here are your equipment. You can do whatever you want with it. You don't have to talk about us. Just however you see fit, just do it. Like full run of basically like full autonomy. I really appreciate it. So I asked Jay. I was like, okay, for this tank, what light would you recommend? I love Radions. I love to use a light, whatever you think is appropriate. And it was like, oh, how about 3XR15? I was like, damn it, I wish it's 6.30, but whatever, it's fine because I'm doing softcore LPS initially anyways. When I go SPS, I'll make some changes and make an upgrade. So now it's time. Started dabbling a little bit more into SPS. My plan is actually, if I see these SPS are doing well, which they are, I'm gonna build up the back wall. If I have a choice, I would keep the back wall instead of black clear, and I'll do backlits. I love those backlit tank, especially with a deep tank like this. I feel like backlights really bring depth to the tank. And this tank is already deep. Can you imagine if I bring the backlight, bring it back a little bit, frosted background, have a little blue going on, right, with a little radiance? You just get that infinite blue effect. And my plan was to epoxy, put a couple rocks in the back so that it create that illusion of ongoing aquascape. I think it's going to be beautiful. But we have a black background, which is fine. I thought I could keep the background black. I could not. I tried to scrape off the Caroline algae and I was scared. I was really afraid I'm gonna scorch the acrylic. Now it's like, forget it, we cannot go this route. I thought about keeping the background black so that the corals pop a little bit more coloration wise, but it's not happening. So right now my current plan, I actually ordered 2 of those reef racks, magnetic rock. I think they're like a resin material, right? But they look kind of like rock, and they have magnets on the back. And those magnets are good to go into the overflow. They are encased. So we'll do a couple, 2 of those in the back to kind of raise it up a little bit more, to build it up. And my plan is to plant some of these SPS frags on there as well. This way, I'm gonna encase the whole tank almost like a cove to have like ideally SPS growing out from it if I could. If not, I'll grow something else, maybe like GSP or something. But I really want to stay away from GSP because I feel like GSP is a double-edged sword. It grows so fast, it's absolutely beautiful, but it draws your eyes in so much. It's gonna take away from any corals that's nearby. Just look at the GSP at the bottom left. They're absolutely beautiful. They got that movement to attract your eyes as well. So if I really want to focus to be on the outer corals, GSP may not be the way to go. Cyphestrias maybe, but Cyphestria, I feel like the grow is going to be a matte, right? I still want some kind of bump and make things interesting. I could potentially epoxy some rock so that it grow over it, but that's going to take some patience as well. And patience is not something that I'm, as you know, I couldn't barely sit through like 30-minute videos. So patience is not one of my strong point, although it's getting better. So I thought sticks may be the way to go, even though they would take some patience to grow as well. But I feel like the amount of return in terms of enjoyment may be better, maybe a little bit more. Or maybe one day I'll just be like, screw it. Put all the Leon's college money into Torch and just put them on there. But that is a plan. And the reason I brought that up is because I got this LED light bar for the purpose of hanging in the back. The front, I always want to do zoa, like a carpet of zoas or mushrooms, right? Something easy to grow, something colorful, and something that helps with the scale. Because of the zoa polyp, they're so small, they make the tank look a little bit bigger. So in the back, I'm gonna hang the LED lights with my Reef Sensei Telegram's help. And we're gonna bring, which is kind of weird. Usually people use highlights in the middle of the tank or the front in order to kind of like dim out the back so that the background fades away. But I'm going to use the background as the canvas as well and try to grow corals there. And we're going to put the highlight stuff in the back and a little bit higher up. And that's why I got the reef racks. It's magnetic, so I can start at the bottom and slowly acclimate them up. And you see already I have a rack, just a regular frag rack in the back with some corals there. So I'm acclimating them. So that's the purpose. I don't know for sure how much par this bar is throwing out. Somebody else commented they got like a similar bar, LED bar, and they're tossing out about 100 par, which is quite a bit. Right now on top of the rock, I think I'm probably 170 par, if I remember right. It's been a minute since I've tested it, and Jim has my par meter at the moment doing some test, so I probably need to get that back at some point before I really mount the corals. But the SPS seems to do well in that light. I want to bring it up a little higher to keep the color. One thing I'll mention in tomorrow's video is actually how the SPS has adjusted to my light. For example, one of the organ torts, well not one, the organ torts that I got from Lynn turned from a really awesome electric blue and purple color in 2 weeks. It kind of dulled out a little bit, but then the color started coming back a little bit more. But I chalk it up to my high nutrient level and also my low light. My nutrient level is sitting at about 0.06 for phosphate and about 28 or 29 for nitrate. So it's definitely a little bit high for what most would keep SPS at maybe. But they seem to be doing well. They adjusted, at least the ones I had. In terms of light, they can definitely do a little bit higher. I have a Walt Disney frag sitting on the back wall right now, and I know Walt Disney people baked them under lights. So it's definitely not enough light. So once the reef racks came, I put the that rock up high. I'm gonna move the Walt Disney up there as well. But this thing is doing well. I mean, it's greening out a little bit. Not the nice gold, but it's to be expected. At least polyp is extended, looking good. All right, that was a long bit. One last thing, this light strip, I think it was about 50, no, sorry, probably 70 some dollars because I customized it and it's a 36 inch. If it's only 24 inches, it's like 40 or $50. And I understand that Jim mentioned there's a way to make it dimmable if I buy a different driver. So I may do that if the 100 par is a little bit too much. All right, check comments real quick and I'm probably gonna cap off. Dude, it's almost 10 o'clock, are you serious? But the good thing is the sun is not really out today. So in terms of taking photos of the sunflower field, maybe okay. Okay. First time Reefer mentioned that fingers crossed that coral collection industry doesn't change in Australia and currently proposed. Is Australia, is there a potential shutdown in Australia as well? What's up, Skull Squadron? VF84, is that a Macross reference? Chris Burney asks, is there any more thoughts on your next RAS? I'm a little bit cautious about RAS. I thought about the Menoneris RAS, the green one. Sorry, I probably butchered her name as well. But I'm really afraid that it may pick at the Christmas tree warm rock that I have. I moved it from the mangrove tank to the 135, so I'm kind of nervous. So we'll see. I mean, having a RAS is always a nice, I think, like insurance against different things. I may add a Springer damsel because I understand that they could pick at flatworm. Not that I have any flatworm that I know of, but just in case, right? RAS, I would love to keep another one for potential pyramid snail, which I don't think I have any, but also just in case. I do have a fairy RAS, but I'm not sure how effective that person is. Okay, how often do you feed your bubble tip anemone? Chat Him Wong asks, any tips on keeping one? BTA I kept for a long time, so this is one animal that I'm comfortable talking about. I feed my bubble tip anemone once a week. I used to do like big chunky food, but since then I've transitioned over to the smaller ones. It just seems to like be happier. They move based on the flow and light, but I understand that the foot likes to dig into a crevice and they really like to hang like upside down or sideways. They like to bare their foot and reach out and orient themselves towards light. So they're pretty straightforward. One BT I really want to keep at some point is a Colorado sunburst, but I'm not sure if the Colorado sunburst or even Chicago sunburst could be kept with a regular bubble tip anemone without issue. I know wild caught is definitely a no-no, but this particular rose bubble tip anemone that I have been in captivity so many generations. I feel like maybe it's okay. I understand that there's a way to acclimate anemone with each other. You keep the new anemone in a different tank, and every couple of days you kind of swap water a little bit. They'll get used to the chemical, or they get used to the chemical of each other, and eventually they'll be okay. At least that's what I heard. So that's one thing I may try. All right, somebody's comment got help because he mentioned that the yellow-tailed damsel is the biggest a-hole, and I guess YouTube did not like that, but it's there. Funny thing is, at one point, I still do actually, thought about adding some damsel to this tank. I know the Talbot damsels, for the most part, is pretty friendly when it comes to damsels, and I know that the Springer damsels is pretty friendly when it comes to damsels as well. So I'm still kind of on the fence. In terms of fish load, it's not something that I talk about a lot. I really should talk more. I would like to talk more about fish because I feel like not a lot of people talk about fish. But I noticed that in terms of aesthetic, I have a lot of red and orange fish. I got 3 light-tailed amphias, 2 clowns. We got the fairy wrasse there. A lot of orange fish. I only got the blue tang. That's blue. Yeah, that's it. So I thought about keeping a blue throat trigger. While they look nice, I feel like, do I want one big fish or a couple little ones that will take out the similar amount of bioload? So I started thinking about is it the Kubang damsel? It looks like a yellowtail blue damsel, but supposedly they're a little bit friendlier, and the yellow runs down to the stomach versus just on the tail. So I thought about that. I thought about keeping maybe 5 or 6 smaller green chromis. There are different types of green chromises, and I think the one I really want is the Exels. Live Aquaria actually differentiate them, and supposedly their Exel do a little bit better. And the color is a little bit more powdery turquoise versus like a straight up shiny teal. So I thought about that, but I'm still kind of on the fence. I'm keeping an eye out on my nitrate and phosphate. If my nitrates start dipping, then I may start adding more fish. But at the moment, it's kind of holding steady, so I feel like fish load, I may be there. Maybe okay. Swap said, don't do it. You'll never get them out again, the damsels. Tidal Coral, any advice on helping a BTA that lost its tentacles? Did it lose its tentacles because it got sucked into a power head, or do you mean like they kind of retracted or bleached out due to lack of light or food? But if it's due to injury, I'll just give it time. Give it time to heal. But if it's bleach out and stuff like that, you may need to start feeding a little bit so that it can get some energy to regrow. Fish Palace said that spring damsels are great for pest control, one of the least aggressive damsels. That's great. I may add one. Jose, go faster. Lynn, how do I order from you? I don't have any IG, FB. Do you have any reef group you belong to? Your coral is a killer. Lynn is one of those super generous person and really kind people, and it's not to me, it's to everybody. She has a fantastic, stellar reputation locally, so purchase with confidence, for reals. Mustard tang, really cool too. Yeah, I was also thinking, okay, in terms of tang, I thought about doing the coal tang. Yellow eye coal tang. I promise it's not because they are kind of like sought after now, but I've always wanted a coal tang. I feel like yellow tang, blue tang, or the yellow tang, hippo tang, and the coal tang, this is a trio that's really popular in the reefing hobby for a good reason. I feel like they target different types of algae as well. Coal tang, they pick at, I feel like, the film type. So it's either coal tang, is it Tomolo? That's a little bit smaller, although I'm leaning more towards the yellow eye coal tang, or if I go, or one of those white tail coal tang. All right, dog is going crazy. I think it usually happens when my neighborhood pit bull come around the house and walk. All right, let's see. Oh, here are the, should I bring my dog in here? One sec. Kevin. Okay, buddy. Here's a little guy. I have a love-hate relationship with this little guy. God, he is, I want to say well-behaved, but not always. But he's really good-natured. And I feel like we probably don't give him enough attention due to the busy schedule, which is a shame. Look at this guy, yeah. But he rolled with us. He rolled the punches with us. And we appreciate it. Okay, let's see. Peter's a Kowloon, yeah. Oh yeah, these zoas. Here, put them down. So these zoas are Lynn's. I think she got them in a waffle, and I'm just kind of holding on to them for her. See if we can grow it out a little bit, and then I'll probably steal some babies and then give them back to her. These are beautiful. And in the back, that is the OG Bounce. And this came from Daniel of New York, who has been helping me a lot, especially during my dino I keep pronouncing it wrong. During my dino battles, right? That guy is His super helpful is his old school reefer. I have a lot of tricks up his sleeves. But in the past, he actually gave me a smaller one, a really small OG bounce, and it got covered up by I think a sun-kissed bounce and just gone, disappeared. And upon hearing that, he was like, "All right, don't worry, I got more. I'll bring a frag to you at Reef at New Jersey or New York." And that happened, was it a month and a half ago? And he did. And when he showed up with like I was like, what is this? I was expecting like, but he went out like, I was like, oh man, you're too much. So with much appreciation and thanks in my heart, Daniel, that's on him. And I think right now he's thinking about resetting his tank, and when he got that done, I plan to frag up some corals and pay him a visit. Peter said, yikes, loss of Halfrichi from adding a non-quarantine fish. Yeah, for fish, like so far, I have been really lucky in this roulette. I remember at my local reef club, one person's signature said that when you add if you don't unquarantine fish, it's like playing roulette. And that is true. So far I've been lucky. Have not really had any bad encounters in terms of like fish disease and stuff like that. But as I add more fish into the tank, I'm more and more careful, right? Especially since now some of these fish has been with me for a while. I want to make sure they're okay. So I make it a point that if I buy the higher risk fish like tang and stuff like that, they came from quarantine source whenever possible. Same from other fish. Oh, what's going on, buddy? This guy's restless. I think it's time to go. All right, fellas. Yeah, it's almost 10 o'clock. We need to go hit up that sunflower field. Lynn and other people in the DC area. Poolsville, sunflower field, full bloom this weekend. You should check it out. Okay, with that said though, thank you, 100 of you that are watching right now. Appreciate your time. I think we started at what, 8 o'clock from like a random stream. Just grab some coffee, be like, hey, haven't live streamed in a while, let's do it. Tomorrow, I got a video coming. It's gonna be a fun video. That was a lot of things happened. I received 3 different batches of corals and clam. So I was busy putting them in and seeing how they look. I kind of tracked them from unboxing first in the tank to a little bit later today. I'm going to film them again to see how they look and share with you guys what was added to the tank. And there are a lot of exciting stuff, lots of SPS. And of course, these are crazy price Zoas. By the way, this GMK right here, Grandmaster Kraken, for all of you guys who are not familiar, this guy is about $150. Insane. Per polyp. Not per colony, per polyp. And it's not mine, it's Lynn's, by the way. I'm screwing it out for her up a little bit. Oh my goodness. First time Reefer said that, bloody hell, OG goes for 3,000 to 5,000 for fingernail size in Oz in Australia. Are you serious? It's crazy. Jeez. All right, guys, gonna go wake the family up. I'm gonna hit up the sunflower field, and it's been great catching up. And I'm not sure if you guys enjoyed this format. I definitely did, and I hop on partially to kind of try to get acclimated again to speaking. It's not one-on-one, but just speaking in general. And I feel like in the beginning of the stream, the way I speak is kind of clunky. My apology. It takes a little bit to kind of get back into the groove of things, and maybe I'll do it a little bit more. I don't know. I'm not even sure if I'm keeping this video. I tried the YouTube Shorts. It's kind of weird. I think I may just stick to IG stories for the shorts, and I feel like kind of clutter up my YouTube feed as well, because if I look right here, if I put away Mark's beautiful face for a second, like I have all these like nice thumbnails I did. I enjoy doing graphic design, so I enjoy doing thumbnails as well, and I see these like shorts. I'm like, maybe I should take them away. Yeah, now we'll play around with it. Always new technology, right? And here you're looking at my nostril. How great is that? Alright guys, with that said, let me see if I can successfully stop the stream. Usually starting the stream and stopping the stream is the most awkward time. If I successfully do it, once again, let me look. Keep remember, camera's right here. Thank you for joining in. I hope you guys have a fantastic weekend, and if you follow my channel, I'll have a new video out tomorrow. Should be on time, 12:30, and I'll see you then. Have a good day.